Void Hunter, the ultimate weapon of the mankind. They could shatter the earth, cut through the ocean in half. They don't fight their enemies. They brings the apocalypse, the nightmare to the ethereal. But they're not the strongest agent in the game. They got outranked by this little goofy singer who need to be constantly babysit by a bodyguard. A really hot bodyguard, by the way. Snatching the must-pull titles from Void Hunter with a microphone and some Chinese song and dance. TikTok dancing to the top of the tier list. And I don't see any Void Hunter tag on her banner. Well, not that I'm complaining though. So Astra Yao is the most broken support in the entire game. She is literally the best in slots for every single team, but Hugo's team as the only exception. It's like she could inject steroid into all the DPS in the entire game, but with the power of music. She's very easy to play and takes very little on-field time. To describe her differences with any other support, it's like any other support are still in the cave discovering fire. She's already on the Mars inventing the time machine, cause that's how OP she is. So let's get started with how to play Astra. You basically just tap your skill and it would enter this singing state. It would increase 20% damage and 25% critical damage for 24/7. It's not gonna run out, and you will also see this quick assist icon pops up, but instead of being red quick assist, it's the white glowing quick assist that could only be used by Astra. And swapping quick assist at this state, it would give you 1200 attacks that could last over 20 seconds and could stack up to 30 seconds. But if you don't swap quickly enough, it's gonna turn red and you are not gonna get the buff. But who really cares? It already lasts long enough. And when you hit the enemy with on-field characters, it would also trigger this special quick assist. Anyway, the buff is tied to your levels of the skill, so make sure that you max it out, just in case if you don't know about this. But when you swap out the characters before the anomaly is triggered, it's not gonna trigger. And the same issue would also happens when you are playing Astra Yao, so make sure that you don't swap too quickly and miss the anomaly. Basic attack doesn't really do much, and you don't really want a basic attack with her. And her ultimate would give ChainAtk to the team without stunning the enemy. And it's gonna be especially useful for the DPS that benefit from the chain attacks like Zhu Yuan, Evelyn, and the Halumasa. And I will talk about the advanced stuff in the later part of the videos. So let's get into the team. Instead of going for the strongest team, I'm gonna recommend the team with the most value. And the number one is definitely Evelyn Lighter team, and it could be Evelyn Nicole team, because Evelyn simply synergizes with Astra really well. I mean, like, she's literally her bodyguard. I mean, her main sources of DPS are coming from the chain attacks, and Astra ultimate is exactly that. She's giving out 2 extra chain attacks, and this chain attack from ultimate would even be more valuable if you're using it with Nicole, because you would also use it outside of the stun window. And next is gonna be Yanagi Vivian duo, because both of them has very low attacks by their build, and the flat attack from Astra would highly benefit the agent with low attacks. And Vivian would also benefit from getting chain attacks, because she's gonna get extra 2 stack from the chain attack. Then follow with the classic Miyabi Yanagi team. This is the strongest team in the entire game by default, and the most anticipated team for Yixuan is gonna be Yixuan Zhu Fufu team. But the strongest team on release on Yixuan's banner is gonna be Yixuan with Trigger and Astra. And if you wanna be more optimized, your Trigger is gonna be on Qingyi's signature, because Trigger's signature is gonna be useless on the Yixuan because of the characteristics of the sheer attacks, and defense shred on her signature wouldn't work. And one of the more recommendable team would be the Astra Nicole team with pretty much any DPS in the game, and it's gonna be one of the best team for that DPS if it's not the best. Now let's talk about the best force set for Astra, which is Astral Voice force set. I mean, like, it literally has her names on it. So basically it would increase 24% attacks with her natural rotation, and if you're knowledgeable with the build, you might came across this Swing Jazz force set build on Astra when you are pairing with a stunner, and let the stunner take the Astral Voice, because the sentiment was the Shock Star force set isn't a good set, so why don't we use the Swing Jazz force set instead? And it does yield better result. The video is very well explained it, but unfortunately it is outdated from today, because we're gonna get this massive new force set that's gonna change the game forever. The King of Summit. Basically it's gonna give the whole team 30% critical damage, so there's absolutely no reason to use Swing Jazz on Astra Yao anymore. But if it feels like min-maxing with the Nicole Anomaly team, using Freedom Blue force set on Astra would give slightly better result than putting Freedom Blue force set on the Nicole. It is the best in slot, but I wouldn't recommend it in the general play if you're not like into speed running. And the only 2 set that is mandatory to Astra is 2 pieces Swing Jazz. Any other 2 set are not an option. And the reason behind that is because energy regen is the most important stat for Astra, because more energy means more special quick assist, which works like bread and butter with the Astral Voice force set. So you're gonna get full 24% attack buff for most of the time, even if you're playing Astra mindlessly. And more special quick assist would also mean more action per minute, because quick swapping is a form of animation cancelling, and that would lead to more energy generation to the whole team, and that lead to more ultimate. Well, at least that's my assumption. And you would also came across with this 3428 attacks is the amount of attack you wanna get to get the full buff of Astra. But I find that reaching this number is less significant than getting energy regen because of the way they calculate the buff. It is calculated proportionately, so you're losing about 10% of the attacks buff if your attacks is 3000, but you would be ends up getting more even if you replace the attacks by the energy when you use energy regen instead of attacks. This is the test I did a really long time ago with the Kaboom. So on the first test I used the attack on the disc number 6 to get up to 3400 attacks, and the result is 31k damage. So on the second test I swapped this number 6 into the energy regen and swapped 2 pieces into the attack percentage, so that my attack would get closer to 3428, which is the maximum requirement for the Astra Yao's buff, and I got 34.4k. But when I swap everything into the energy regen, with only 3000 attacks, I got 36.9k. So apparently energy is significantly more important than the attack percentage. So yeah, for the main stat, this number 6 is a non-negotiable energy regen. Attack on this number 5, you don't wanna go for Ether Element and pen ratio, please don't. And this number 4 is also attack percentage, and maybe critical damage if you have Scape 2 Astra Yao, cause you would only need 3000 attacks to get the maximum buff. And as for substat, is attack percentage to flat attack, then crit rate, crit value, for a little bit of extra damage, which is not important. The signature weapon of Astra actually gives the most amounts of energy regen out of all the Wenjin. Even though it gives a lot of attacks, I wouldn't recommend to push for it. Even Scape 2 is better than getting a signature weapon. But generally, Scape 1 is a better stopping point if you wanna get a little bit of extra investment, because Scape 2 doesn't really give much, and every duplicate you got from the signature would have about 2% of power levels increase. I would still generally recommend to get a signature Wenjin for your DPS than getting her Scape 1 or her signature, cause you're gonna see more improvement that way. And yes, the best A rank Wenjin is going to be Kaboom. The most absurd thing is that the Kaboom at Refinement 1 is still better than Bashful Demon at Refinement 5. Anyway, as I tested between the Kaboom Refinement 5 and the Bashful Demon Refinement 5, it has about 10% differences if you wanna know the number. But Bashful Demon remained the second best A rank Wenjin. The Vault is also fine if you don't have Kaboom and Bashful Demon, and Weeping Cradle is totally trash on Astra, just don't use it. Now let's learn a little bit more about the Astral Voice force set. And Astral Voice is a really good force set for pretty much all the support. But if I were to be totally honest, you could actually play Astra Yao mindlessly. You would still be able to achieve like 80-90% uptime for this force set. But if you want to learn more about the characteristics of it, you could stick with me for a while. So basically every time when you trigger the quick assist, it's gonna increase 8% attacks and you could stack it up to 3 times and lasting 15 seconds. It works with ordinary skill to quick assist, and even when you get hit by a heavy attacks, you would also get the stack. But with Astra, it's kind of trickier. Her ordinary skill into quick assist definitely works, but defensive assist or parrying doesn't work. Even though you got this quick assist indicator, chain attacking after the Astra also doesn't work unless you cancel Astra chain attack. The ultimate chain attack also doesn't count, but it still retains the benefit of the buff if you stack it previously. And I think the reason is it is count as quick assist, but it doesn't add the stack. And to explain it even further, the 24% buff only benefit the characters that takes the quick assist, and the agent that doesn't take the quick assist will not get the buff. So as you can see here, if I special quick assist here and swap again without quick assist, I wouldn't benefit from the buff. And the buff only works for one characters at the time. Anyway, I guess that's about it. I hope that helped, and like and sub if you like it, and see ya guys.